Warning, this video contains minor spoilers for My Hero Academia, One Piece, Demon Slayer, and maybe a couple others. I don't know. It's not that big of a deal. All right, that's it. I got pins for the mic, and I have a One Piece one coming, so to make up for it not being here yet, yeah. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. It is that time of the year again. Has it really been a year? I gotta do these more often, man. For another installment of Let's Argue Anime Edition. Now, if you're unfamiliar, the series was inspired by Anthony Fantano. He does a Let's Argue for music, and I have done the same thing just with anime. I posted on my Patreon calling for the hottest of takes, and boy, did I get some. I want to do these more often, at least more than I do now annually. So if you want to be in a future installment, join the Patreon. First link down below. You can be on the lowest tier to submit any hot takes. So without further ado, let's make some people angry here. And guys, be civil in the comments, please. It's all just for fun. We're having fun. Take number 1 comes from German Logan Perez that says, I think that One Piece is the best piece of fiction of all time. It has the best story, OST, characters, and world building. If you couldn't tell, I wanted to start with a pretty lukewarm take because I think that's shared by a lot of people. I wanted to include it because it did get 13 likes from the rest of the people on Patreon, so obviously a lot there agree. And while I am only maybe around halfway through One Piece at this point, I do really enjoy it. Check back in with me at episode 1000 or so. Harp says in the 4 One Piece manga popularity polls before Marineford, Sanji was in 4th place, 3rd place, 3rd place, and 3rd place during all those arcs. I think Sanji is very overrated. So my question is Sanji the most overrated character in One Piece? I think Sanji being a part of the Straw Hats already kind of has like a leg up, pun not intended. Which is why I usually like the overrated character discussion to be more for like side characters, villains, stuff like that. But I would say maybe a little bit. I definitely like most of the crew members more than Sanji, at least as One Piece goes on. Again, I'm only around halfway through, but I feel like the whole obsessed with women thing, it's funny sometimes, and then other times maybe I'm just not in the mood or mindset for it. It's like a nail to my skull. Depends on the time of day. Macho Party Gamer says One Punch Man Season 2 is better than Season 1. Now, why am a pretty regular defender of One Punch Man Season 2. I think it catches way too much flack from people. I don't think it tops Season 1 because Season 1 has Saitama versus Boros, and that's probably one of my favorite fights in anime. So no, that 100% not. I feel like this is just a strange opinion, but still, Season 2 catches way too much flack. It's still good. Where is Season 3? Anthony Simpson says Gojo is not beating Goku. Here we go, man. Seeing as I'm limited to my knowledge in Jujutsu Kaisen, I still don't really understand Gojo's power, to be quite frank. And seeing as Goku, I mean, I'm only halfway through Super, but his power level I feel like changes every single arc. I don't know, man. Who's stronger? Let me know below. Okay, this one is a 2-parter. It kind of comes with a comment below it, but Carter Shunk says, I also think that One Piece is the best fictional work of all time, and if it weren't for the fact that it's hidden behind the stigma of it being manga/anime, which keeps a lot of the general population from being interested in it, I genuinely think it would be up there with things like Star Wars and Marvel as one of the most popular franchises. And I purposefully included this response from Ericto that says the over-sexualization of female characters is keeping the general population away. When my mother saw me a few years ago watching One Piece, I was watching or some other NSFW stuff. I think there's a couple barriers. That I think a lot of the general public, at least here in America, doesn't like to watch things like with subtitles and stuff. And yes, dubbed anime does exist, but I think that sort of barrier to begin with also stops people. But I also think, I mean, if we're talking about One Piece in particular, the length of it in general keeps people away. I could name several people that don't watch One Piece solely because of how many episodes it is. Whereas Star Wars, you can consume like a couple of movies in less than a day. You know what I mean? I think it's a few things. So, okay, Z-Man has 3 takes. 1, Abridged has its fun moments, but it negatively affected Dragon Ball, the perception of particular characters, and made a section of people believe the jokes are what actually happened. I feel very called out right now. So we're gonna tackle this one first. I haven't been in the Dragon Ball community, I think, long enough to really even speak on this one. So those of you that have, let me know what you think. I don't know how many people share this sentiment, but I mean, I think there is a slight amount of evidence for this, at least for me personally, because I've only watched Abridged in terms of Dragon Ball Z. But yeah, I think that might hold some ground, honestly, even though I love Abridged and hold it very near and dear to my heart. So I mean, I don't have a problem with it. Some people might. 2, Shippuden is better than Boruto, which is better than OG Naruto. You know what? You might be right. Although I see it more as like Shippuden is better than Boruto, but Boruto and OG Naruto are like kind of on the same level. That might be kind of a hot take. I like Boruto, man. Get over it. And One Piece is an unnecessarily long series that I personally wouldn't recommend to anyone unless they profit off it or were picking picking it back up. Some of their fans can be very pretentious. Okay, fans of any fan base, people like members of any fan base can be pretentious. That doesn't solely belong to One Piece. And whenever you say unnecessarily long, you could say that in terms of like the pacing in some parts, I guess. Again, only halfway through, but I'm 400, 500 episodes in and it hasn't felt like that long as that sounds. I think the world of One Piece is just so insanely large and there's so much ground to cover that it needs that much time, unironically. Now, could some of the arcs be shortened down a little bit? Yeah, probably, but I'll take 1,000 more. I don't care. Dev the Race said that, oh wait, this guy is unhinged. I think he has several in here. Let's see. And I appreciate that, by the way, whenever I ask for hot takes. Dev the Race said that Mary is a friend is the worst writing in all of One Piece, and the scene where she dies is hilarious. It's like something ripped out of a show for toddlers and is just terrible and stupid. It's literally made of tree corpses. And then the Hermit responds and said, this is probably the hottest take of this whole post. I'll give you that. And Dev said dead trees die again. Heavily disagree, of course. I mean, you've seen my reaction to the end of Mary in One Piece. Roll the clip. She's gone. It's gone forever. And then Dev the Ray continued his rampage, saying Dragon Ball Frieza Saga is the worst saga by far and Boo is the best. Dragon Ball fights are probably the worst of all anime and always consist of punches too fast to see, screaming, talking, beam struggles, rapid ki blasts, or power-ups. Now, I can only speak on Dragon Ball Z so much because I just played Kakarot, but I know that Frieza Saga being the worst saga by far is a very, 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 very hot take. Like, are you saying that this Frieza Saga is worse than, worse than every Dragon Ball, like, OG Dragon Ball saga and every Super Saga? I mean, the Frieza fight, like Goku versus Goku going Super Saiyan for the first time fighting Frieza is like one of the most iconic, I feel like, fights in anime in general. So let's see what Dev continued on saying. Nami is the worst character in One Piece and I can't stand her, plus Sanji's character is completely ruined by his obsession with girls. I can't speak too much on Sanji's character because again it kind of gets annoying after a while, but Nami being the worst character in One Piece, I don't know what she did. Like, why is she catching strays here? Wapol, way worse of a character. Spandam, way worse of a character. There's a few that I could name. Nami is a strong character, keeps the crew together, and yeah, I don't get that. Paul Lopez said Itachi's backstory screams constant rewrites throughout the series. Now, a lot of people share this sentiment. Kishimoto wanted him to become a villain but changed his mind midway through the series, making him more of an anti-hero role. I think I read like 2 or 3 other comments on the Patreon post that said this or something along these lines, and I didn't know people felt this way about Itachi. I always assumed, especially once the truth was revealed about Itachi, that it was just like a one-shot. Like, yeah, he had planned on him being the anti-hero and like technically a good guy the whole time. So do you guys also feel like his character was like rewritten a million times? I don't know. I don't think so, based on how long Naruto is and sort of the seeds that were planted, but maybe people disagree. I disagree with this completely. The pain arc is very overhyped. The decision to kill the whole village to raise the stakes and then wave your hands and go, hey, everyone's okay, they're all back at the end, completely obliterates any sense of tension or stakes for the rest of the series. See, this guy also, Itachi sucks my ding-a-ling. I kind of get the whole pain arc thing. I feel like One Piece has like gotten me accustomed to characters dying but not dying, but I feel like since Naruto didn't ever like overdo that or do it over and over again where a character dies and is brought back sort of like Dragon Ball-esque, then the pain arc gets a pass because all the fights and everything leading up to it is really hyped. So no, the pain arc I don't think is overhyped at all. I thought his like entire like attack on the village is super tense. I mean, it was like a mini war, to be honest. Why is Goku your favorite anime character? And says Boruto should have never existed. Just make a good story in the first place and don't go chasing more money. I believe in Oda to never let Two Piece happen. He's got class. First of all, Two Piece would be awesome. Second of all, Boruto not existing is up for debate, and also the entire purpose of Boruto is up for debate. Was it a cash cow? Maybe part of it, yeah. But at the same time, did it birth iconic scenes and fights? Absolutely. It also has kept alive sort of a part of the fan base that otherwise wouldn't be as active if Boruto wasn't going. There's not a ton of other shonen to compare to, especially because of how popular Naruto was. So who knows, maybe the Naruto fanbase would be super alive still if Boruto didn't exist and people would still care a ton about it. And people do. I mean, they watch reactions all the time. I did Naruto Shippuden reactions way after it ended. But again, I don't think it's about whether or not it should exist, but rather what it's provided in its existence. And it's also said Jinbei is a good, strong character. I don't know why so many people hate him. Do people hate Jinbei? I mean, I watched Marine Ford. He was basically Luffy's dad for the entirety of it. He's like a role model, a cool guy, a chill guy, no annoying tropes. Do people hate Jinbei? Is this shared with others? Xander Phoenix said, now that Frankie is doing shipwright work and engineering, Usopp is kind of pointless aside from comic relief. Now this one actually, it made me think for quite a while, but I think the root of it lies in the entire purpose of One Piece and where it started and where it's gotten to. Sure, originally whenever Luffy was made in the crew, he like laid out these things he wanted: a shipwright, a cook, all that, a musician. But now I feel like at least where I am in One Piece, it's gotten to the point where it's less about the roles that need to be filled and the friends that they are and the bond that they share. So yeah, it's true that Usopp doesn't have a point in terms of like a strict role on the ship, but he's a straw hat. He's part of the crew. It's not about him like having his resume like correct for the straw hats and clocking in every day. Blazora said, power scaling is Dragon Ball's biggest weakness. The stakes are uninteresting because they jumped the gun and went straight to world destroying. I'm not hyped at the prospect of Goku fighting someone who can destroy the world. I'm hyped for Zoro fighting someone who can destroy a ship. Some amount of grounding your power scaling to a human scale is important. Now, this is going to change based on who you ask. Some people like the scale of Dragon Ball and how cataclysmic it is. Other people like the scale of One Piece in comparison. But I see myself as liking both. Like there's certain aspects of both to enjoy. But I mean, I've always said that the stakes in Dragon Ball aren't as interesting because of resurrection and revival through the Dragon Balls. I give Dragon Ball its flowers. I enjoy a lot of things about the series, but I think that's like the biggest flaw in it. And that's fine. It's just a trope of Dragon Ball. It's just how it is. So yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. I feel like death in Dragon Ball has something to do with the power scaling. It's a lot less strict, so the writing can go literally anywhere. Yamana-chan said, I firmly believe that filler arcs in anime are a good thing, even if they sometimes run into the issue of conflicting with canon events later on. A well-done filler episode can take time to focus on / highlight a character to flesh them out, or just allow us additional small moments between various characters interacting with each other. Sometimes, some filler is really bad.
Inosuka style man beast transformation combo.
But yeah, I mean, depending on who you ask, like Boruto, a lot of it is like filler or anime canon and doesn't affect the main story, but also gives us time with other characters. There's Naruto filler episodes that really contribute to the overarching story and the characters and getting to know them. But at the same time, I think a lot of people's gripes with filler lie in whenever it's an anime that is currently airing. I've always said that if I watched Naruto Shippuden as it aired, like back in the day when it was weekly, and they were in like the 4th grade Shinobi War and it just delved right into a filler arc, I would have hated it. I would have held such a gripe against Naruto to this day. It depends on when you watch an anime that has a lot to do with that. But yes, generally, if it's a filler arc that maybe takes place between canon arcs or aren't that long, I think filler can do a lot of good. JackTheBus says the MHA Vigilante arc had so much potential, but they ruined it by basically using Deku as a springboard for other characters. I really wanted it to get dark. Maybe Deku could have seen more of the messed up things of the criminal underworld. I 1,000,000% agree. I loved seeing, you know, Dark Knight Deku, bro. And whenever it took like less than, it wasn't even half a season, maybe like half a season to resolve all that, I was kind of shocked. And it had an emotional impact even being that short. I mean, I cried whenever it was sort of resolving everything. Roll it. But would I have liked to see Deku like separated from the Hero Academy a lot longer? Absolutely. And also I think just him working in conjunction with the teachers is a really cool dynamic. But I feel like MHA has always had the problem of balancing because you don't get to know the class. So at the same time, it was a good thing they went back to the class because it did springboard a lot of them up. And I've always said, it's like, well, we don't really know the characters of the other students that well. So it's kind of hard to care about them all equally. It's a stacked cast and it's hard to balance in comparison to like Demon Slayer, where you only have a couple of people that you really have to care about outside of like Hashiras and stuff. Dai says rating anime will only destroy your enjoyment of the medium. After a while, you only think about what rating you should give it anime instead of just enjoying it as is. That's why even if you were using websites like My Anime List, you'd only use it to keep a track record of what anime you watch and on which episode you were on, not rate them. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of guilty of this. I'm at the point where I'll be like watching a movie in a theater and it'll be like not even like halfway through the movie, I'll be like, what would I give this on a scale of 1 to 5? So maybe, I don't know, I try not to let it affect my watching experience, but maybe I have put things into a box like that way too much these days. Maybe it's just something you have to be like mindful about. I don't know. It's an interesting perspective though. And Dylan says 4Kids One Piece is better than sub and Funimation dub, no question. All right, this is over. Guys, that has been it for this installment of Let's Argue. I hope you did enjoy. Again, I'm sorry I can't get to every single one. I tried to pick the hottest of takes too. There were a lot of repetitive ones or ones that didn't really encourage much discussion. I'll try to respond to some of them on the Patreon post that I didn't get to in this video. With that being said, if you want to drop one on this YouTube video and have discussion in the comments, by all means. If you agree with some of the takes in this video, if you disagree, let me know. Because I was very happy with this Let's Argue installment because I thought it had some of the most, I guess, discussion inspiring comments thus far. The next one was probably going to be specific anime, like I'll do a Dragon Ball episode, a One Piece episode, etc. But if you like this one, drop a fat like on the video so I know you did, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.